Welcome to the Retail Media Moguls podcast, brought to you by Platform 195. We share trends and strategies across retail media to help you accelerate your brand growth. I'm your host, Stuart Adamson. Welcome to the Retail Media Moguls podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Adamson, CEO and founder of Platform 195. Today, we have the privilege of welcoming Catalina Salazar, a true influencer in the realm of retail media and advertising. With an illustrious career spanning leadership roles at renowned companies such as Dentsu, Aegis Network and Wolt, Catalina brings a wealth of experience and expertise to the table. Her track record of spearheading innovative strategies and driving business growth for global brands speaks volumes about her acumen in navigating the ever-evolving landscape of retail media within delivery apps. I'm excited to have someone of Catalina's caliber join us today to share insights and perspectives on merchant business growth strategies in this dynamic and competitive space. Welcome to the show, Catalina.
Thank you, Stuart. That was really generous of you. Appreciate that. Amazing.
You're welcome. So currently you're global head of Wolt. Is it Wolt or Volt? I always get it wrong.
It's funny. I also said Wolt when I started, but how it's pronounced is Wolt.
So you're now global head of Wolt Ads. So tell us a bit about the audience, the scale of the business, the countries, and what's the sort of top line, what's happening?
Amazing. Yeah. Let me tell you a little bit about Wolt. Wolt is a company that does delivery across more than 500 cities in Europe and Asia, 27 countries. It's been around for 10 years, and a couple of years back, it was acquired by DoorDash, which many people know as a big delivery service in the US, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand as well. So altogether, pretty big footprint as a big retail media provider in the US, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and 27 countries across Europe. So really, really exciting times for us to be creating this kind of solutions across so many markets, especially like smaller markets in which many of the big names in retail media don't even have presence as well.
Fantastic. And you've just announced the launch of Wolt Ads, is that right? Tell us about that.
That's correct. So this week, after a couple of months of being testing across thousands of partners, we're finally out of beta, I'd call it like that. And we've been helping our merchant partners and global international brands now with retail media solutions since last year, but we did a big announcement last week. So here we are telling the world about what we're building at Wolt and how we can help our partners grow.
Well, congratulations. So tell us about that offering. You know, if I was a merchant, a restaurant, I suppose, coming to you, what would you be pitching me top line in terms of your media solutions?
The elevator pitch. So Wolt Ads is a solution that is built into kind of big buckets, I'll call. The first solution is sponsor listings for our merchants. So if you are a bakery, a local small retailer, a local restaurant selling burgers, Asian food, you're able to then appear higher up across the surfaces that we have in the applications. There's sponsor listings in search. There is sponsor listings in our restaurants and store tabs. In our main homepage, what we call discovery. And that is a service that is being developed in a way that a merchant can self-fund, because we only charge those merchants for the sponsor listing if they actually got a sale through the clicks. So not impressions, not fixed fees, not click fees. It's all very simple. You get to appear in privileged positions for really relevant users. And if you got a sale through that sponsor listing, then you pay a small amount that you decide how much is bidding technology. So that's really, really exciting. It's been like really well received. We have great feedback from our partners that tried the system. And on the other hand, we also have developed a couple of years back an offering for like our big CPG and brand partners, where we offer a little bit more than just visibility in the app, that we also have co-branding, data solutions, media outside of the app, and kind of everything that they can do as well inside of the app to put their products and services higher up and more visible. CRM things as well, like emails and pop-ups and all of those things that you might be really familiar with from your experience as well.
Fantastic. So that's quite pioneering, I think, charging only based on a sale.
We've heard that is very different, and it's been really well received by our clients because we really want to make this really fair for them. And we also want to ensure that we keep ourselves accountable for making those listings super relevant and super good for our users. So we're indeed driving those sales and helping them grow, which is what we're doing this.
And in terms of the development of that, have you developed that in-house or are you using a third party?
That's a great question. So we started about a year ago with the ad tech team building the solution. It's an in-house solution. The great news is actually we took 3 years of work that DoorDash had already executed, and we kind of brought in those, I will call it the architecture and the services, and we built our own pipeline into those services that already existed in the DoorDash world. So it's actually proudly the first kind of really big integration between the two companies after the acquisition is this ad tech project. So we started with the merchant sponsor listings, and nowadays we're looking to develop and bring the brand CPG services as well in the same way, kind of leveraging all of that knowledge and engineering power from DoorDash into our world here in Europe and making that great for our partners to use as well.
So have DoorDash already been using this technology globally for their partners in the US?
Yes, they had a lot of engineers and had really great solutions that they've been using for a couple of years now. So they have a couple of years of advantage over us. It's a nice competition. But no, in reality, we work together and we're leveraging each other's knowledge and learnings and making these solutions something that we can offer to our global partners as well as our very local merchants.
And you mentioned you've been in beta and been running, I think you said thousands of campaigns. Tell us about that whole piece.
It is so exciting. Like, just before I go into answering your question, tell you a little bit of background. I come from doing a very similar job at Rappi. Rappi is another super app in LATAM because from Mexico all the way through to Argentina is got like thousands of merchants. And I was also helping there building similar product like the merchant advertising as well as the brand advertising. And I can compare those two experiences and tell you how it's been here. There, it was like LATAM, so having one language makes things easier, right? We had Brazilian, Portuguese, and Spanish, so only two different languages. So it's quite, you go to market faster because it's easier to deploy a technology and a go-to-market in the same language across all of those regions. But here it's been amazing because we've had to go to market in 27 countries and they all speak different languages. The maturity of Wolt as a service also varies in all of those countries. So you have to kind of adapt to how the merchants might receive a proposition like this. But it's been amazing. Like we've had people in each market help us kind of go to market, talk to merchants, tell them about the solution. And it's just been so positive. I think kind of making sure that we're doing things that are super relevant for the consumer, but also super relevant for our partners that are buying that service and that can help them grow and be fair has been an amazing success for our business. And that meant that we could launch super fast. And in a matter of months, we had 23, 24 markets up and running and merchants super happy to try. So yeah, it's in the thousands now. So it's really, really exciting in only like 6 months to see the growth that we've had launching a new product in a difficult economy. It is amazing. Like I'm so excited to see what's been happening with this.
Fantastic. So did you start in one market and then quickly scale to the others, or did you go with a multi-market approach from launch?
Yeah, so that's actually a really great learning that I had from this because you sit down in front of that big challenge, like, how am I going to do this across so many markets? And there is like a kind of a very established way of doing things that you pick up people who are raising their hands and you go with the early adopters, you test, you learn, and you go big. For me, I kind of took a step back and thought, I actually need to learn really quickly because it's not that it's one service across a like homogeneous audience. I'm actually going into different markets with different realities. So I actually need to learn in each market really quickly. So what I decided with the team was to launch as soon as possible across everything, but also go with those early adopters that wanted to try the product. So we offer, free trials to all of those people raising their hands. We prove our point. got local data, which is super important when you're going to market. You need to show local examples, local results, and that really helped. I thought it was a great decision to have gone really big, really early. We learned a lot. We got data for each local market to be able to create their pitch, to have examples, and that really helps snowballing faster. So I'm really glad I didn't go little and like on a few places. I'm really glad we just decided to pick up early adopters throughout the regions we're in.
What were the challenges? What were the difficult bits doing it that way?
You're going to laugh at this. I think like repeating yourself so much. Like everyone laughs in the business because I sell. I feel sometimes like a little parrot, like going over 27 speeches on a daily basis. Like if you're doing a release, kind of repeating yourself so much. That was really difficult. Like you think it's easy, but it really takes a toll. Like getting different cultures, different people from different markets, understanding the value, why we're doing this, how you sell it, training them in like the tool, like doing this at a scale like that is really takes a toll because you're like ticking the box, like which markets have I done, which haven't, you probably understand this very well.
Yeah, you spend most of your time selling internally rather than externally.
And yeah, and like kind of checking out like boxes that you've done, all of the regions and who's missing and translating into like all these like European languages that are like very specific. Sometimes like words don't match. So kind of like the execution of these at scale with different technologies that we also have difficult. But I'm really impressed in saying that our team is so nimble and so like I've never experienced something like this, like the speed in which things happen, given the difficulties. Like we still managed to get in 6 months thousands of campaigns and launch a product in 27 markets. So yeah, that was like mind blowing as well.
And presumably, I mean, in order to do that, you had to have huge buy-in from the business, from all those markets and all the people within it. How did you get that buy-in?
Yeah, that's a really great question because you only execute on what you agree on and understand. And you have like different general managers, different head of sales, different account managers that, have different challenges in the realities. So to get that buy-in, it was so important to have executive support, like rally everyone into understanding that we're in a really privileged position to have a huge footprint, users that are buying day in, day out from various verticals through our app and kind of really showing them the value of being in that position, to have that access, that customer base, that data, brand stream of this kind of access and knowledge. So the first thing I did was obviously show the business the potential, like what other big companies have been doing in the space, like obviously Amazon and other retailers in the US. And from my experience being at Rappi for the time that I was there, what we managed to achieve and really kind of selling in the opportunity and how relevant it is in this moment that is kind of still quite fresh but growing really fast. So kind of getting them aware of the opportunity, getting the buy-in from the senior stakeholders, like rallying everyone towards, building something that is meaningful. Also showing that it's much more than just advertising, right? You're building relationships with brands and you need to give them a lot more value than just plastering an ad. So kind of really creating that consciousness that is like data, media, in-app experience, but also one key differentiator is we also take product into people's homes. We're a last mile delivery business. So we also play a lot in the offline world. And we have Wolt Market, which is our own first party retail solution. So there's so much more that we can do than just, the ads business, and kind of showing that value, showing that suite of products that we could build, that we have the data and the name behind to be able to build something like this was super important. And then after like kind of getting buy-in from the executives, like going into all the markets. So I call it the Catalina's Eras Tour, going into all the different countries, meeting people face to face and showing them that we're beyond a delivery service, that we can become a really big, important retail media player in Europe and like kind of making people aware that we are in a position now where our reach and our engagement gives us a great privilege to be able to build solutions that are so needed by brands and partners. So that was like the second stage, getting kind of face to face with the different markets, building those relationships one on one, and then, creating this kind of vibe that we're building something meaningful. And one last thing, which I think is so important, I think purpose. What is the purpose? Why we get up every day and come to work? Like, what is it that we're contributing to society and to our lives? And that's one thing that I really kind of keep repeating to our engineers and our partners. And we're building this because we want everyone that open a little business, a bakery, burger joint, they had dreams. It was an idea that someone had and put effort into. And in this climate that hasn't been easy after the pandemic, and now the situation with like wars and things like that, and the economy being, tough, I think for our team is purpose. We are doing this to help our partners and our business keep those dreams alive, open their shops, get new clients, and drive sales and stay afloat. And I think that was something that has really united everyone in the organization to build something that is fair and meaningful and that it works and delivers results, because that's kind of our purpose as well.
That's great. And how have you managed that centralization versus localization? How have you, in terms of obviously engaging with the merchants all the way through to fulfillment?
Yeah, I think you need to be smart as to what becomes local and what becomes central, and like what are the economies of scale and what are the kind of areas in which you can afford to be more local, more precise. I think from an ad tech solution, architecture, engineering, it makes total sense to have a solution that works across. And luckily, Wolt has been built in a way that is super easy to release technology on top of our main application. It's super easy for us to have a central team working on a solution that works across all of our regions. So it doesn't make sense to have create individual bespoke solutions in the tech side. The go-to-market, we do take into account nuances for marketing. So we do need to have some local resources for translation and getting insights of what's the competition doing in those countries and so on. So I think we keep many things central that are kind of the backbone, but then the go-to-market and the sales, we keep that very local, and we give our local teams tools and sales enablement to be able to keep those things very close, locally related, because we have thousands of local partners, and they obviously want to talk to someone that they understand, kind of go in English, talk to someone that probably doesn't even speak the language, try something. We try to keep the go-to-market very local as well.
Yeah, I read on Wikipedia that you have 70,000 merchants or something, which is huge. Is that right?
It's over 140,000.
There you go. Wikipedia's wrong. Well, 140,000, it did feel light, I've got to say. But 140,000 merchants, how do you go to market when you've got 140,000 suppliers? Have you segmented some for direct conversations and then the rest for CRM? How are you doing it?
You're right. Yes, we kind of done both a digital approach. So we recently hired a product marketing manager and CRM lead, and we're kind of working on really understanding how do we tell a McDonald's about our opportunity versus a mom and pop that probably don't even, in some cases, we know they don't even have a marketing plan. Many of them don't even know what a click or an impression even means they're worried about running a restaurant business. So there's definitely a lot of detail goes into understanding who we're presenting these solutions and how. So we do segment kind of our partners. We have a huge amount of SMBs versus our local and global enterprises. And we build solutions and tools that help them into the different needs. So for me, I think one thing that really helped me in this business is the fact that I worked in media agencies over 14 years. So I worked in Australia, I worked in London, I worked in LATAM, and kind of understanding the value of segmenting the message, of segmenting your audience and understanding their needs before you try to sell them something, that was really helpful for being able to go to market with Rappi's product as well as like this product at Wolt, because I understood very quickly, having worked with McDonald's and Burger King and other QSRs in Latam, that they care about, share of market, they care about the competitors versus, smaller player that's only kind of looking up, seeing like the bigger players and just wanting to grow and get first time users and get repeat purchase, and kind of really understanding our buyers, our merchants' needs. And from that need, creating the go to market, that was super important in being able to create a solution that is meaningful and that you can sell it easily to people who are listening to you.
How do you manage, say you take a McDonald's, obviously you've got a big brand spend there from the brand, but obviously a lot of those restaurants are franchised. Are they responsible for their own marketing in that scenario, and therefore you have to go to each restaurant individually? Or is there a way of getting in centrally?
It is actually really interesting because every business is run differently. Like, really, there isn't a one size fits all in the way that people run businesses of all sizes. You have all scenarios. So you have franchisees that come by themselves into our self-service tools and set up campaigns, both ads and promotions. You have central teams really interested in kind of learning about the product and then communicating it to the franchisees so they can action it. And you also have the central teams that have budgets that, as you might have heard, many of these like big above the line and traditional digital media budgets are now moving into retail solutions. Also have those setups in which we work with media agencies and central teams and have like a media budget to help the visibility of the franchisees. So yeah, all cases apply.
And are the media agencies parting with those budgets? Are you starting to get traction with them already?
It's actually really interesting. When I created a website and I did our kind of lead form, if you're interested, like, let us know, are you a merchant? Are you a store? Are you an agency? You a brand? And the second largest audience that I've gotten through my lead forms is agencies. And I found that I was not expecting it because I come from agencies, but I haven't been in an agency about 5 years ago. And I think the retail media boom's been kind of bigger in the last 5 years, but I was on the kind of publisher side or Rappi side over here. And at Rappi, I set up the agency's business throughout Latam. So I closed the deals with Publicis, Group M, Dentsu, all of those big agency groups. And there is a huge appetite. I will say on that, though, that they still don't really know. This is a really interesting topic. So we've got the brands reacting by creating these app and e-commerce teams that own the relationship with the last miler, with the app, with the retailer. And then you have the agency that like works with the marketing teams, the brand managers. And they have lost a lot of data. And like cookies happened, and then Apple, iOS tracking issues happen. So these guys are like, wait a minute, there is all these media opportunities with data here on the apps world. But then I have a team that does that directly. I'm not using an agency for that. So kind of building that bridge between the marketing teams and the apps teams and the agency's role and the budget need. Is it awareness? Is it consideration? Is it performance? Is it retail budget? That has been really interesting in the last 5 years. And I've seen it all because at Rappi, we work with over thousands of brands as well across Latam, big international businesses and also local corporations that were also quite big. And then you have that really difficult kind of still forming way of work between the agencies and the clients' teams, and who owns what and what are the objectives of that investment. And that is really, really interesting. But in saying that, I am all in for working with our media agency partners. I want to build a very similar business at Wolt that I did at Rappi, because I signed agreements with all of the big agency partners in Latam, and I intend to do something very similar here at Wolt. There's huge opportunities for data collaboration, for media outside of the app, for co-branding, just creating really meaningful experiences end to end for a user, all the way from TV ads to giving someone that product in their hands at home. And we have all of those parts there. So we definitely need to work better together in creating those end to end experiences.
It's always difficult when it takes time to build, doesn't it? When you're trying to build sort of integrated partnerships like that. Are you finding that the agencies tend to just want sort of programmatic advertising on your app that links back out to their whatever campaign, the landing page they're trying to drive to? Does that tend to be sort of question one? And then obviously the mission is to try and get much bigger integrated partnerships. Is that right?
I think it really depends on who the agency is. When you're working with creative agencies, they are interested in creating the meaningful experiences and using your app in a creative way and co-branding and doing this beautiful augmented reality things in the delivery bag. It is more about, the what. With the media agencies, you need to understand that they doing not only us, but another 5 or 6 platforms, and they have limited resources, and those negotiations in agencies are ever shrinking in terms of what brands pay them. So you have one person that now needs to learn 60 self-service platforms to be able to execute something. So of course, they're not going to be having the time or be kind of the reason to want to do something more like the what. They just want to execute, leverage the data, leverage the placements, get a really good report, and get it really quickly through a self-service technology, because it makes sense how the business has been running and how the big players like Meta, Google have run those big businesses through self-service, that they just have that mentality of come in, execute it, report it, and repeat.
Yeah. And tell me about the last mile bit, because you talked about that earlier and you talked about offline. Is there any evolution opportunity for you with the ads business to be offering offline media solutions?
We are actually piloting right now in the Nordics our first electric vehicle advertising campaign. We have partners. They're not our employees. As you might know, there's all these EU directives on how career partners have freedom to do the things, but they obviously have their vehicles. And if they're interested in working in advertising with us, we can offer them that opportunity to get ads on their vehicles. But we want to do it differently. It's not so much about just doing advertising and getting revenue. We actually are tying that to how we help our career partners get better vehicles and make better cities for the delivery with the environment. So it's electric vehicles that we support on to help kind of enable that the career partners can access better vehicles through the revenues that we generate through the advertising. It's actually really nice because we're helping them get better vehicles that are cleaner for deliveries. We're helping brands get that transit out of home opportunity, which is super effective. I wasn't aware, I work always in digital performance, but doing this project, I become really close to the effectiveness that Nielsen and other companies have written about transit out of home and how effective it is. And the fact that we can actually help our brands get that cheaper because we're kind of finding ways to make that more effective pricing wise. And then obviously for us as Wolt, it helps engage our career partners and do better deliveries and better cities with cleaner vehicles. So it's really, really interesting. We're only testing, might not work. I'm not going to commit to, saying that we're going to go really big with that. We're testing it right now. We have a few partners kind of going through the process. We're learning. We're seeing how we collect the data to be able to offer really good reports to the brands as well. Yeah, it's all really exciting. So that's definitely things that we're thinking in the offline. And there's the traditional opportunity of branded bags, which we also can do and have done. So if you want to, a delivery bag has your brand on it and a coupon or a flyer inside that has information, and you can do that with data, that's kind of amazing. And also the co-branding opportunities. We've done really great executions in Greece, for example. We just did a really big campaign with Milos, which is a big partner in Greece. Unilever is one of our best partners. We love them. We're really good friends. We have helped grow their ice cream business significantly at Wolt through leveraging our last mile and our restaurant partnerships as well. So there's a lot of opportunities, not only on just creating a digital ad experience, but also enabling brands to partner with our partners, enabling brands to partner with our own brand, and doing the end-to-end from the TV ad all the way to like giving something specific as well. And there's a lot of value to be extracted out of that service that we do.
Bringing sampling and offers into that sort of end of funnel journey. That's amazing.
Exactly. Even out of home, like co-branded out of home is something we also do really a lot with like our big partners. Wolt Market being our retailer, like our first party retailer. We have 3P and 1P. So 1P is Wolt Market, which is our own retail solution, like our own supermarket. And then you've got our relationships with our third-party retailers as well. So being able to execute not only the advertising, but also the promotion part of it. So if you're a brand and you want to do the ad, but you want to make sure that the ad is super effective, then you do a really great promo for your first-time users or your re-engaging users. And then we are able to execute that end-to-end with our own Wolt Market footprint, which is growing massively as well, and our third-party retailers as well. So yeah, it's really nice. It's like that ad and experience part built together.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to the macro picture, but let's talk about the local picture, because one bit of work we did in this space a few years ago was we looked at it and realized that actually, if you live in a certain area, say you live in a commuter town, suburb town that isn't particularly big, and there's a local bakery there, if you're searching for a delivery, ultimately the volume of searches for that individual product is always going to be low, because the very nature of a delivery app is it's local. And obviously outside of the big cities, the volume of inventory available from an ad point of view was so low. So I'm interested to see how you're overcoming that. And then listening to what you were saying around you're only paying if the basket is actually completed. How do you avoid sort of just running tons of advertising or very little advertising when it comes really local for free, or just not monetizing it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. So we want advertising to be really relevant. We want to enable a partner that might not even have a marketing budget, that might not even know what an impression is, to be able to get visibility. And we want our users to be able to discover, the offers that they might not traditionally have even looked. Like, think about it. If you look at Google, you search for something, you're not going to pass like the first page. You read the top 3 and then you click and you're out. And what happens with organic algorithms is like, obviously the big kind of the ones that are doing the best, they tend to get better ratings, better reviews, better rankings organically. And it means that like smaller partners, probably like new partners or like small size businesses, sometimes they might not even get that visibility. And if you see what we call the city structure, you see that like there's like polygons or areas that are like highly dense with multiple restaurants. Like you have your high street where you see all of the venues in the same kind of areas, right? So what we thought about is, we want this advertising to help people get discovered easily. We want to make it really relevant to the user. So if they see something, they're going to think, oh, I really like that. That makes sense to my style. I'll give you an example. If I'm a vegan, there's no point for me to take the meat shop in the high street and put it in front of the vegan person. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So what we've decided is we want advertising to be really relevant. We want advertising to be fair and like drive business and like drive that re-engagement. But you do need to for you to be able to do this successfully and really sell, you need to ensure that you have some basics covered. So if you're a small shop, that you have good pricing, that you have your photographs nicely taken and that those menus are appealing. Because at the end of the day, I say that advertising at Wolt in any place really is like getting that prime spot in the shopping center, getting that first place where people walk by. And I call the content and the experience, the photos, the pricing, the reviews, the promotions, kind of how do you attract that person. You get the spot, but you're not going to attract and convert if the content isn't right. So we ensure that we segment our leads for ads on those venues that, don't have the visibility, but are ready to really convert that traffic. And they have the really good content, they have the really good photos, they have the good ratings, the operational metrics are really good. So when someone sees them and they see their photos and the content and the promotions, they actually come in and convert. So that really helps us deliver revenue for the business, but also revenue for the partner and a really great experience for the user, because they're discovering new things that are actually really good for them, and not like a restaurant that perhaps hasn't done the job of getting up to speed with the right experience. So, and it's be like taking the time to understand what makes that journey work and going after the partners that will make that effort to clean up themselves and scrub up nicely for the users we're going to bring them and convert them through the content. So we usually tell the partner, it's good that you have first time users promotions. It's good that you have Wolt Plus, which is our membership audience promotions, because those are our most loyal users. They're 4 times better users than traditional users. So get promotions for them. Organize your shop. We help you. We even give them photo shoots to help them set up. So it is not easy. We do have to strike a really good balance between getting someone a lot of visibility for free, but we need to ensure that that person converts. So we're working on getting that balance even better, because sadly, we're only starting and there's a lot of things we still need to do to get that better. But so far it's worked really well.
I think you hit the nail on your head when you imagine an out of town shopping centre with lots of restaurants. The key is probably the people who don't know what they want to eat. And so they're coming onto your store, onto your app, and then looking for inspiration versus somebody saying, I want a kebab. And I guess the more you can maximize the value of the former, the better, or switch people away from kebab into a burger and measure that is the key.
Exactly. And one thing that I was going to say, the second part, how do we make sure that this is a good business to run as well? Because we obviously need to balance that. I think the bidding is really important. Enabling a merchant to tell us how much they are willing to spend with us. So that's super important. And also the quality score is part, we have algorithms that help us define for sure with his buying habits, how much quality is Catalina's joint versus Pepito's joint, and being able to give you a score on that. So yeah, that's definitely important.
So let's do the last couple of minutes then. First question is just around measurement and that stuff. That's coming, that question. What are you doing now? And then how are you going to evolve that measurement piece for your partners?
Yeah, so we offer our partners reports on how many sales that got from any sponsored listings visits that they had. We tell them how many impressions they got, how many visits they got, how many sales. We tell them how many first-time users versus returning customers, so they can also see if they're actually achieving growth in customer base. And we make it really simple, because the majority of our clients are SMBs and they're not really willing to go into attribution windows and all of these things that our big brands are demanding from us. For brands, on the other hand, we do offer that data collaboration. So we give them incidence data in the different retailers. We give them sales data. We let them know how their sponsored products have worked, the return on investment, everything that a good performance media channel could offer them, we do. And how we evolve this, we're actually now exploring clean room solutions to be able to do data collaboration as well with our partners, so they can create their own audiences that they really care about in our database and execute promotions and ads for those specific segments. That's something that I think is super, super exciting and differentiated from other media solutions. And also kind of creating a home for those brands to log in and see data, which right now we don't offer. We don't have a place where a brand can log in and see all of the data. It's all through reporting. So we're also advancing that kind of place for a brand to consume data and results.
Brilliant. So final questions just around the macro picture, which is actually this delivery space seems like it's developing very fast. We've seen Deliveroo launch what they claim to be a sort of retail media business. We've seen Uber Eats and Uber Ads. And then obviously Just Eat also have some activity in this area as well. How does Wolt Ads stack up against that competition? How do you feel? Where is this whole piece going? Is there enough to go around? What do you think?
I definitely think that retail media space is not saturated. Like last week, we had JP Morgan, I believe, also doing like banking data, retail media. And, I kind of predicted that was going to be the case years ago. Like people ask me, how do you feel about retailers doing retail media? I'm like, everyone who has a database is going to do retail media or media.
And probably already are. They just don't call it retail media. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think there's a lot of space because people are moving very fast into delivery, convenience that's going to continue to grow. We have less time, more flexibility with the application. So I see that as long as there is an audience that is willing to buy, there's space for a brand to connect with that audience in a fair and relevant manner. So I think there's definitely a lot more to expect. I also think we're going to get more clever and like generous as well with the data that we can create and co-create. We're going to get better at doing end-to-end solutions and like not only do the in-app experience, but like how do we connect the TV ad all the way through to the delivery? I think that's something super exciting that will happen very soon. So I definitely think we're in the infancy and there's plenty of room for everyone to offer a meaningful user connection in their experience of buying a product. So I think it's space for all of us.
Yeah, more to come. Well, look, we're out of time, unfortunately, because it's been fascinating. So thank you so much for gracing the podcast. We'd love to have you come back, actually, and see how Wolt Ads has evolved over the next sort of 6 months to a year. That would be just really amazing to see. Congratulations on it all. It sounds absolutely brilliant, and it sounds like you're doing all the right things. So really excited to see how that goes on. So thank you, Catalina.
Sarah, thank you so much. It's been great getting to know you and tell you about our experience at Wolt Ads. Appreciate the invite.
Great, thank you. The Retail Media Moguls podcast is brought to you by Platform 195. To learn more about Platform 195 and how to connect retail media with intelligent marketing to accelerate growth, visit platform195.com. And then make sure to search for Retail Media Moguls in Apple Podcasts, Spotify and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And on behalf of the team here at Platform 195, thanks for listening.